by the Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
I'm Laura Podesta in New York City, where Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and a top North Korean official have meetings all day in this apartment building right behind me. I'll tell you what they're doing to get the June 12th summit between North Korea and the U.S. back on track.
I'm Caitlin Corbett here in Livingston, and coming up, I'll tell you how some middle schoolers had a pretty special learning opportunity.
Good morning. Happy Thursday, Southwest Montana, 6:30. Chet Lehman, Missy O'Malley with you here. Our top national story this half hour. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and a top North Korean official have a full day of meetings scheduled for today in New York.
The U.S. and North Korea are trying to get the June 12th summit in Singapore back on track. CBS's Laura Podesta is in New York with those details.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo broke bread with the most senior North Korean official to visit the U.S. in 18 years. Pompeo and Kim Chul, a former military intelligence chief, had a steak dinner in New York City last night. They're trying to lay the groundwork for a nuclear summit between President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. The Trump administration has said complete, verifiable, and irreversible denuclearization is the summit's goal. A senior State Department official said North Korea will have to do things they've never done before.
The conversation is going to be focused on denuclearization of the peninsula. As long as that is part of the discussion, we're going to continue to shoot for the June 12th and expect to do that.
But the North Korean leader has pushed back in recent weeks, arguing a nuclear arsenal is tied to his and his country's safety. While Pompeo and his North Korean counterpart meet in this New York City apartment building, preparations are also happening on the other side of the globe. In a North Korean border village, a U.S. ambassador is working on the agenda.
So far, the readout from these meetings has been positive, and we'll continue to move forward in them.
And in Singapore, a U.S. delegation is working on protocol, security, and logistics. Laura Podesta, CBS News, New York.
President Trump canceled the summit last week when a North Korean official called Vice President Mike Pence a political dummy, and he warned of nuclear conflict. But since then, administration officials have continued to leave it open to the possibility that it still may happen.
Almost 33 now. Matt joins us once again. Just stepped outside. Not a bad morning all in all.
No, temperature-wise, it's pleasant. We've had some rain showers in parts of the area during the overnight. Now things are a little drier, dry-ish. I don't know. The afternoon, again, we're talking showers and thunderstorms across the area. They'll be widely scattered. For the most part, there is a chance of some strong storms in the area. Temperatures right now into the 40s and 50s. You look at the satellite and radar, most of the showers are to the north of Butte, closer to Anaconda and those areas. They may see a stray shower for the morning. The afternoons where we see the best potential of thunder showers. And again, from Bozeman eastward, and that's where we see the best chance of some of those strong thunderstorms. We're going to talk more about the timing of all that. A bit of a cool down for your Friday, and a look into the weekend and early next week. That's all coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Matt. It is easy to forget that nearly 7 years has passed since the devastating oil spill of 2011 marred the face of Yellowstone River. Yesterday, Governor Steve Bullock took a major step toward securing the healthy future of the Yellowstone River. MTN's Connor Pesger was at the governor's announcement and brings us the details.
That signature from Governor Bullock marks the culmination of 7 years of hard work following the ExxonMobil oil spill of 2011. It also marks the inception of the Yellowstone River Recreation Plan. This plan aims to improve recreation facilities along the Yellowstone. Governor Bullock says that the plan is a repayment to the community.
As part of the $12 million natural resource damages settlement, $2.3 million was set aside to compensate the public for the loss of access to the river and recreation during the spill and the cleanup.
The spill poured 63,000 gallons of crude oil into the river. Cleanup efforts spanned 85 river miles and nearly 11,000 acres of property. Governor Bullock hopes this action can serve to help repair the damage that was done.
This really does mark yet another step in the process to return the Yellowstone River and its surrounding ecosystem to the majestic state that it was prior to that oil spill.
Attorney General Tim Fox said that the projects included in this plan, including things like a riverside campground in Laurel, additional access points for fishing on the river, and improvements to recreational areas like Lake Josephine, will hopefully benefit the community for years to come.
The work that will be done under this plan is ever so important, not only to the generations here, but for so many more generations in the future.
Governor Bullock's signing today means that the $2.3 million allocated to this project can now be officially put to use. Residents of the Billings area along the Yellowstone River can look forward to groundbreaking on these projects later this year. In Billings, Connor Pregetzer, MTN News.
Connor mentions work can start on those projects after a contract signed between the sponsoring agency and the National Resource Damage Program goes through.
Staying in eastern Montana, Yellowstone County is out of the woods for now as far as the threat of major flooding. County Commissioner John Oslin was out surveying the condition of the Yellowstone River from the air yesterday morning and let MTN tag along for the ride. You look at this bird's eye view, you can see a great deal of erosion along the banks of the river as the water flows bank to bank. Bridges are structurally sound, they say. Plenty of debris building up. The river came too close for comfort to its estimated flood stage, but Oslin advises residents and onlookers to remain alert for fast-changing conditions, especially in low-lying areas.
The original forecast was a record flood, and the snow was certainly up there, and there was a storm headed that direction. Fortunately for us, it turned and went east and over the Bighorn Mountains and missed most of Yellowstone and the Beartooth, so we really dodged a bullet. And the flooding that we got now, there's certainly some people that are struggling, and there's lowland flooding and some houses and folks that have a little trouble, but largely we're very good, and it looks like the forecast is going to make it even better.
Now, some areas of concern include the Cowboys restaurant in Huntley and the home near Teal Road in Laurel, where the river's running right up to the back door.
Many of us keep up with friends and family through social media. Websites like Facebook and Twitter are only growing in popularity, but fraud experts are warning that scammers can use those sites to gain your trust and then take your money. In this week's Fraud Watch, MTN's Jacob Fuhr shows us what you can do to prevent getting scammed.
Social media scams have really picked up in the past about year and a half, 2 years.
Scammers are putting a new twist on old tricks. And what used to happen on this type of phone has switched over to this type of phone and social media.
IRS scam, grandparent scam, lottery scam, government grant scam, and romance scams are being portrayed through social media scams.
Just like many of us, fraudsters are adapting to modern times. Much of the scams aimed at stealing your money and personal information now happen online. The Office of Consumer Protection says scammers will friend request you on social media. Once they're in, they build a relationship with you and eventually ask for money through some sort of quick online payment system.
Either a prepaid debit card or a wire transfer.
It can be tough to tell who you're really talking to. They may even be posing as government officials or maybe a celebrity. Most recently, OCP says someone was using the name and picture of Montana Attorney General Tim Fox. The person was offering government grants to individuals. The Office of Consumer Protection said denying requests from people you don't know and not giving out personal information online is the best way to protect yourself before it's too late.
Once the money's been sent or the personal information is out there, it's very hard to recover from that.
For MTN News, I'm Jacob Fuhr.
Now, if you think you have fallen victim to any type of online scam, OCP says to contact them or your local law enforcement. And in other news on your Thursday morning, it's not every day you get to see a family of great horned owls close up and personal. As MTN's Caitlin Corbett tells us, some nesting owls made an exciting month for middle schoolers at Sleeping Giant in Livingston. But yesterday, that month ended on a more somber note.
You know, we've had kids and staff in tears today, and so at least they know that the owlets are safe.
The day began in sadness for Sleeping Giant Middle School in Livingston when it heard that the mother of a family of great horned owls nesting nearby had been killed.
We were told on scene that there was an individual that had been throwing rocks at the owl through the night, and that there was a witness to that incident from a distance, so no identification was able to be made.
Scared and without a mother, the two baby owlets huddled together near the school, where they were later taken in by rescuers. But before they lost their mother, This family of owls made quite the impact on this Livingston school.
Right out this window was the nest.
7th grade life science teacher David Pettit discovered the owls in their nest a little more than a month ago, and the class has followed them ever since.
Okay, there was still a little bit of snow on the ground, still cold in the morning with frost and what have you. And we had just found some owl pelts over on the Yellowstone River, and they were old. And as we were coming back, we happened to look in the grass, and there were some more, and we looked up, and there the mom was.
The two owlets and their mother were nesting in this tree right behind me, and it's just a couple of 100 feet away from the school, providing students with a pretty special learning opportunity.
It's like a hands-on lab. So I didn't have to go out and create my own. It was there. Nature just was doing it. So it was kind of a good education for, they could actually see what we're talking about in the classroom and actually out in nature, how it worked.
And as for the two owlets, don't worry. They're in good hands with rehabbers at the Montana Raptor Society in Bozeman, where they will be looked after until they can be rehomed in another nest. But staff and students at Sleeping Giant will continue to follow the owlets on their journey.
But it is important to our kids, and it's important to our staff. But everybody's totally engaged in their future. So,
in Bozeman, Caitlin Corbett, MTN News.
Livingston Fire is offering a $200 reward for anyone with information on the mother owl's death. And since Wednesday morning, the department says they've received more than $2,000 in additional donations to help catch whoever is responsible for throwing those rocks at the mother owl. To learn how you can help, visit us online. I love and hate that story.
I know.
It's so sad, but at the same time, so amazing how the school and the community has banded together.
And thanks to the Montana Raptor Center for being able to step in and help out those owlets.
Owlets.
We'll continue to follow the progress of them.
And again, contact Livingston Fire if you have any more information on the perpetrator on that. Good morning to you. We're so happy to have you with us here on this May 31st. When Montana This Morning returns, we take a look at a study that the Montana Food Bank Network is asking the state to fund in order to find a new location for their headquarters.
But first, we head to CBS headquarters, check in with Gail King for a look at what's coming up at 7 on CBS This Morning.
Ahead on CBS This Morning, we're in Hawaii, where tensions are boiling over as lava threatens to trap people in their homes. What led one neighbor to pull a gun on another? Yikes. And we'll introduce you to the woman who donated part of her liver. You'll see the very emotional meeting between her and the baby that she saved. We'll see you 7 o'clock on the dot.